All right, so you're curious about this RoleCatcher thing, right? Trying to figure out how it all works, especially if you're someone who's really serious about landing the perfect job. Well, we've been digging through some excerpts from their guide, and it seems like they're on a mission to shake things up in the job hunting world.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to change the game. I think what's really interesting about RoleCatcher is that it's not just another job board, you know? It's not just about scrolling endlessly and crossing your fingers.
Right. It seems like they're going for something a little more, I don't know, comprehensive.
Exactly. It's more like a toolkit, something that's designed from the ground up to give you a real edge in today's job market, which, let's face it, can be crazy competitive.
Absolutely. And speaking of competition, one phrase that kind of jumped out at me from the material was beat the automated recruiter.
Yeah. Oh, sounds
I
ominous.
know, right? Like we're about to step into some sci-fi thriller where robots are taking over the hiring process.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
What's the deal with AI in hiring these days? And how is RoleCatcher stepping into that arena?
Well, AI is definitely becoming more and more common in hiring, and honestly, it's not always a good thing for us job seekers.
Really? How so?
Well, a lot of companies now are using these super sophisticated algorithms to pre-screen candidates, and those algorithms can be brutal. They're looking for very specific things, keywords, criteria, and they often miss the nuances that a human recruiter would pick up on.
So you're saying they're basically playing by a different set of rules, ones that we don't even know about.
Exactly. And that's a huge part of what RoleCatcher is trying to address. It's designed to analyze job descriptions the same way these AI recruiters do. It's like peeking behind the curtain.
So instead of tossing your resume into a black hole and hoping for the best,
Here.
you're actually getting a glimpse into how your application is going to be judged, kind of leveling the playing field, I guess.
Right. It takes away the guesswork. Instead of wondering what companies want, what they're looking for, you're actually seeing it from their perspective.
Okay, so it's less about luck at that point and more about strategy.
Now you're getting it. And having that kind of insight can be huge, especially when you're up against a ton of other qualified candidates. It's all about standing out.
Which brings me to our resumes. Now, RoleCatcher mentions this skills gap feature. Are they saying our good old resume format just doesn't cut it anymore?
Well, the whole one-size-fits-all resume is definitely becoming less and less effective.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. And what's really cool is that RoleCatcher actually scores your resume against each job you apply for.
Wait, so you're saying it's not just a general critique, it's giving you personalized feedback for each and every application.
You got it. It shows you where your skills and experience line up well. But even more important, it highlights where you might need to make a few tweaks, to really tailor your resume to what that specific employer is looking for.
So it's all about customization.
Exactly. That kind of personalized feedback can make all the difference. And you know what? That actually ties into something mentioned in their guide about having multiple versions of your resume.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading that. They
Oh,
were suggesting we go around making stuff up, right?
no, 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 nothing like that. It's more about having variations that highlight different skills and experience based on the specific job you're after. It's all about presenting the most relevant parts of your story, right? Not just throwing everything you've ever done on a page and hoping for the best.
It's like you're optimizing your resume, not just for the human eye, but for the algorithms, too.
Now you're speaking my language.
Hmm. Well, speaking of optimization, there was this number that really caught my eye in all this. 120,000 plus interview questions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 120,000. They're not suggesting we, like, I don't know, memorize a phone book of answers, are they?
No, definitely not. It's not about memorizing anything. It's more about understanding what kinds of questions get asked, in your particular field, and then thinking strategically about how you'd answer them.
So it's about spotting the patterns, having a game plan instead of just winging it.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher actually helps you break those questions down to categories and figure out what employers are really getting at, like what they
Hmm.
really want to know. Plus, they have this cool AI thing called Copilot, and it actually helps you craft your answers.
Oh, wow. So it's like having an interview coach on demand right there in your pocket.
Exactly. Like we were talking about earlier, AI is becoming a much bigger part of the hiring process, so it's interesting that RoleCatcher is using it to help candidates prepare. Instead of just passively applying to jobs, you're actively engaging with the same tech that's being used to evaluate you.
You're learning the rules of the game
Hmm.
so you can play it better, right?
Precisely.
And that reminds me actually of something else they talked about, that video practice feature. What'd you think about that?
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, video interviews are so common these days, and it's a completely different beast, than a regular face-to-face interview.
It's like, it's one thing to practice your answers in your head, but then when you see yourself on camera, it's like, whoa, who is that? you know.
Right. And with RoleCatcher's video practice thing, you can actually see how you come across, get feedback on your body language, how you sound, all that stuff, which I think is amazing. They even use AI to analyze your videos. Can you believe that?
No way. So it's like having a personal branding consultant, but without the hefty price tag.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, that's a game changer for a lot of people, I think.
It's really cool how they're emphasizing being proactive, like taking control of your own story. And especially in a world that's becoming so driven by technology, I think that's super important. But even with all this talk about AI and algorithms, one thing that really struck me about RoleCatcher was the focus on your unique skills. The things that make you you. It's not just about trying to fit into some kind of generic mold. You hit the nail on the head. It's so important. RoleCatcher gives you all these tools, all these insights to navigate the job search process more effectively, but it never loses sight of the fact that you, the actual person, are the product. At the end of the day, it's your personality, your passions, those unique experiences that are really going to make you stand out from the crowd.
They're giving you the tools and the knowledge, but they're not going to go in the interview for you.
Exactly. You still got to bring your A game. It's like RoleCatcher can help you get your foot in the door for sure, but after that, it's all you. It's about letting your authentic self shine through. That's what's going to resonate with people.
This has been seriously eye-opening, I got to say. It's like sometimes applying for jobs can feel like, I don't know, a bit of a lottery. You just throw your hat in the ring and hope for the best. But RoleCatcher almost feels like it's giving you a way to understand the odds a little better, maybe even stack the deck in your favor just a bit,
I like that analogy. It's all about strategy, right?
Totally. So as we wrap up our deep dive into RoleCatcher, I want to leave our listeners with this. What's your ace in the hole? What are those unique things about you, those skills, those passions that you can really highlight? What makes your application stand out? Think about it. Because at the end of the day, those are the things that are going to make all the difference. And that's it for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.